Welcome back to the channel, Warhammer Man back in the studio, and today we're taking a look at Warhammer Fest and what is in store for us. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content on Warhammer 40,000, Kill Team NECROMUNDA, Age of Sigmar, and WARCRY as well. So let's take a look. We have the Warhammer Fest 2022 online starting tomorrow. So it is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday as well, and they're going to be showing off a bunch of new releases. Last year they had some sales online for a few items for 15% off as well, so I think we could probably assume or hope that we'll see a similar situation, although I know typically it's cheaper for people to buy through online or local retailers that provide them 20% or more discount, etc. So but it is something to pay attention to, especially if there's something online that you haven't been able to get locally or whatever. You can get it straight from the source at a discount one of the few times a year when GW offers an actual discount. So that being said, let's jump right in. Prepare yourselves. Warhammer Fest Online is this week, and it's going to be absolutely massive. 4 days of incredible reveals across a vast range of Warhammer game systems are kicking off on Wednesday and running through to Saturday. You'll be able to catch every moment of the reveals online, either here on the Warhammer Twitch channel, and there'll be a complete digest for each day's revelations right here in the Warhammer community website. So here is our schedule basically for the week. So we have Warhammer Fest 2022 online. Join us live, and again, that is on YouTube. They put out videos, or Twitch, you can watch it live, and then obviously they do the updates right on the Warhammer community page as well. So we have Wednesday the 4th at 5 p.m. BST, which that actually translates over to, I know the majority of my viewers are United States, so that will translate over to noon EST. So that is 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, and then obviously you can figure out from there. But Warhammer 40k is on Wednesday the 4th. So we don't know exactly what any of these reveals are going to be. Matter of fact, we really don't know anything about what these reveals are going to be. But it's pretty safe to assume, or it's been alluded to already, that we're going to see some Chaos Space Marines or Heretic Astartes reveals for 40k. So we've already seen that there's a new codex coming out. We've seen the cover of the new codex and a couple teaser rules, like obviously Legionaries getting 2 wounds apiece. But that's pretty much what we've seen so far. So I do expect them to reveal not only the codex, maybe a little more detail about the codex or when it's going to be available, but also I do expect to see at least one new Chaos kit, probably, theoretically, hopefully, a couple of them. So definitely expecting to see some new Chaos stuff. They've already talked about it, so we know there's going to be new Chaos models coming to the range, and I have a feeling they're going to use this as an opportunity to show some of them off, and then potentially give us a rough idea as to when we can expect Chaos, when we can expect these new kits potentially, and what more is in store. So as far as 40k, I think that's going to be the main topic for the 40k reveals. It is also possible or probable that we see some other information potentially about a couple other topics. So first is squats. Obviously we've seen one model so far. We know they're going to get a book and a box sometime later in the year, probably around the fall. We don't know anything else about them, so maybe they'll show off a couple new squat models. I have a feeling that the next squats we're going to see is probably the completion of a regular squad of squats, a character squat, and then probably some sort of vehicle squat as well. So I do expect those as high probability potential to show up in the Warhammer 40k reveals. Aside from that, I think the only other main topics that really I think will probably come up in that is something to do with essentially demons and Imperial Guard or Astra Militarum. I think there's high probability at this point in time those are the last 2 codexes we haven't seen. Obviously they're going to talk or have been talking about Chaos Codex, so I have a feeling that we're at least going to get some idea when to expect those, probably in the next 2 to 3 months, something like that. And then once they've rolled out all those codexes, hopefully they will just let the meta kind of shift and balance out, and then we can kind of see where everything has fallen. I think the most recent changes they made to 40k were amazing. I mean, I really do. There's a couple things I would have liked to seen, as always, but they did a great job calming down Harlequins and Adeptus Custodes We'll see how everything else works out, but we know the balance for power armor units like Sisters of Battle and Space Marines have all gotten bumped up substantially. So I think they've pulled a lot of the worst tier armies up and pushed a lot of the highest tier armies down. And now people were very scared about Tyranids, saying they were going to be OP and all this stuff. And as far as the tournament circuit, we're seeing them strong, but we're really not seeing them come out and completely dominate. Not like we've seen with Harlequins or some of these other like meta lists in the past. So I think overall 40k rules-wise, balance-wise, is in a pretty good space. Now, of course, there's always going to be some Necron players out there who complain and say their army is terrible and it's not fair and they're not getting their love. But the truth is, you know, everybody has their time to shine. So if you're not excited, say, for instance, about the Necron rules this edition, you should be extra excited about all the awesome new models that the range got and know that eventually they're going to get the rules right and, you know, your army will be good again or top tier or at least at the top. But as far as I'm concerned right now, I think in the hands of a good player, any faction could beat any other faction. Now, is every army going to be able to be that top tier S+? No, of course not. You know, there's always going to be best armies. Right now, it's debatable what the best armies are. I mean, Custodes obviously took a pretty big hit, so I think they've kind of fallen down a little bit. But I think Eldar, maybe not as much Harlequins, but possibly still. I think Eldar and I think Tyranids are definitely at the top of the food chain. But aside from that, I mean, Tau are still very strong even after their nerfs. I don't really think they're going to like fall off or anything. And obviously, you know, there's lots of other competitive armies as well. I have a feeling that we're going to see Sisters of Battle really start shining, or Adeptus Sororitas, and possibly some like kind of niche Space Marine armies. If you are running like, I mean, basically like a Terminator army, or you have a lot of Terminators, maybe you're playing Dark Angels, maybe you're playing, you know, Thousand Suns, there's going to be some really good armies. I mean, I think potentially like Grey Knights, Dark Angels, and Thousand Suns could all really shine because they all have decent or strong psychic, potential protection against mortal wounds as far as denies or other abilities. And then also, you know, they have power armor and Terminator armor Marines that are going to be very strong. So in my opinion, I think we're going to see the meta shift a lot, and a lot of weaponry, equipment, army selection, and stuff like that is going to change. So I think overall 40k is in a good space balance-wise. So we'll see what kind of comes, and then by the end of, you know, this edition, or at least all the codex release, you know, including potentially squats, then we can kind of look at it and say, okay, what really needs balance now that everybody's got their book, everything's updated. You know, we're seeing new armies of renown show up regularly, so there's definitely some potential there to change some things. But I think overall the balance is in a pretty decent space overall. And if something falls out of balance, I like that Games Workshop has been quick about correcting it. So that being said, let's move on to Thursday. So Thursday the 5th at 5 p.m. BST, so we know that is noon EST, Warhammer Age of Sigmar. So we don't know exactly what's going to be the Warhammer Age of Sigmar. We do know that they actually just recently revealed a new codex. So at this point in time, they have said that the Slaves to Darkness codex is coming eventually. But they had already told us there was 4 more codexes coming. And then now the 5th codex is going to be the Slaves to Darkness codex. So I suspect that we're going to see reveals of what the next 2 codexes will be, which should come out in the next couple months. And then at that point in time, we'll see some kind of like themed releases in line with those. Obviously, we'll get, you know, and when I say codexes, I mean battle tomes. But obviously, we'll get some, you know, cards. We'll get some dice. And then probably at least one new HQ unit, if not some other stuff as well. And then it's possible, but doesn't have to be the case, that we're going to see them start rolling out more of the new style start collecting. So we've only seen the 40k really switch over to start collecting, and they're down to the last couple left, and now they are all have moved from the start collecting boxes up to the combat patrol boxes. So higher price point, bigger boxes, but you know, that's your starter army now. With Sigmar, we saw basically one of the, what was it called, the Vanguard box. We saw it only with the what are they called, the Blight Kings. So it's strange that we only saw that one so far. We haven't seen them roll out any of the other ones, even when they rolled out the codexes. So it's possible they're just going to wait on those. But there is also obviously a possibility that we see a couple of those Vanguard boxes come out for whatever the new codexes are, etc. So we'll keep an eye on that. Obviously, I will keep you guys informed as I hear anything or as we see these releases. But again, I think it's getting to the point where if there's still start collecting boxes, especially for Warhammer 40k that you want, there's only a couple available at this point in time, or even into Warhammer Age of Sigmar. I think likely after they finish the transition of all the 40k boxes from start collecting to combat patrol, that Sigmar will really start to hike up their transitions as well. So that is Thursday, Age of Sigmar. I will definitely be excited for that one and what's to come. Probably something to do more with like the Thandia kind of thing as well. And then Friday the 6th at 5 p.m. BST, aka noon EST, we're going to see our skirmish games. We're going to see Kill Team. We're going to see WARCRY. And we're going to see NECROMUNDA. So, how do we want to do this? Let's start with Kill Team. So, Kill Team, we know every 3 months or every quarter, we've been getting a new box. So we've already seen, obviously, all the boxes that have come out. And then along with each of those boxes, we've gotten like a bespoke Kill Team in White Dwarf as well. So I suspect that the next thing to come is going to be the announcement or preview of something small out of that box. I don't think they're going to come straight out and show us the whole box right off the bat. They'll probably tease one of the factions, maybe show off like one model, possibly the whole Kill Team, or maybe one model from each and the setting, something along those lines. So I think that we're going to expect to see the beginning trickle out of information about our next big Kill Team box, and then what's going to be in that. And then from there we can kind of try to figure out what's going to be the White Dwarf team, what are both those teams, etc., etc. So when it's all said and done, though, I have a feeling that we'll see just a little trickle of whatever's coming in the new box. And so far, we've seen Adeptus Sororitas, we've seen Tau, we've seen Orcs, we've seen Imperial Guard, and then we recently just saw the Chaos and the Eldar. And then for the bespoke teams from White Dwarf, we saw Genestealer cults, we saw Harlequins most recently, and then which one am I missing? And then Warp Coven as well. And then we also have seen the Adeptus Mechanicus. So at that point in time, is it safe to assume that we're going to see a bespoke Space Marine Kill Team or Adeptus Astartes? I'm not sure, honestly. I don't know if they'll do that as the White Dwarf article and leave you how the Space Marine team is set up currently, where it's only, basically like all Reavers or all Infiltrators, etc. Or if you'll start to be able to like kind of mix the team. Because that is one thing I do like about Kill Team is, how you could mix it previously. We'll have to see. I think that would make better for like a White Dwarf Kill Team, honestly. But we'll have to wait and see. But I do suspect that Space Marines will be in there somewhere. I'm actually surprised that they went this long without including Space Marines in one of those. But other than that, I really don't know what direction they're going to go with that Kill Team box. And then as far as terrain is concerned, with the Kill Team boxes, we've only seen them repurpose terrain for the Kill Team boxes. We've never seen them put out... Oh no, I take it back, because the Orc terrain was brand new. So the initial box was new Orc terrain, and then the second box was Mechanicus, or the other way around. We see the Mechanicus terrain, and then we've seen the what is it called? Imperialis, Sector Imperialis, and Sector Mechanicus. So we've seen them repurpose two, and then one new. So I don't know if they're going to repurpose one of the old terrain sets that's no longer available, or something that's going away, or if they're going to come out with something brand new. Since then, we have recently seen the Nock Moon terrain come out, so it's possible we see a portion of that in the new Kill Team starter. It's possible we see something like the old school kind of like ruins and jungle trees, maybe some of the stuff that was recently discontinued. I'm really not sure, honestly. So that one for me is like a shot in the dark. It is possible that we see squats as one of the kill teams from the new box set. And I think that would actually make a lot of sense, that they bring squats into kill team, and then later in the year they have like the full army available, or at least like, you know, codex and part of the army. So look into that, but I definitely think there's a high likelihood that we see squats as one of the armies in the new kill team, or one of the teams. Now, as far as WARCRY, I don't have a ton of an opinion on WARCRY. So we saw obviously the 2021 guide come out in 2022. We saw a couple of the boxes come out for some of the specific teams with their cards and everything. We still have a couple of warbands that came out in a box set that are not available separately. So it's possible we see something like that. It's possible we see a new big box game for WARCRY. I'm really not sure at this point in time. I think the big box game is the least likely, or like a new edition, but it's possible. I think it's the most likely thing we see for a WARCRY release is probably going to be a couple more like packaged up warbands with the cards and everything. So off the top of my head, I can't think which are the oldest ones they haven't redone recently, but I think that's probably the highest likelihood. Like we recently saw, it was like the, you know, Luminath and more Stormcast and more of the orruks. We saw like what was it, like 5 teams. There was like the Sineshi team, and I'm missing one off there. Oh, the Dark Elves. Sorry, I always call them by their old names, but so we saw those as the recent boxes. So I think it's likely we see some more boxes like that. Maybe we see a cool new monster or character or something brought to the setting. But overall, that's a tough one to guess, as we really don't have much of a roadmap. And honestly, WARCRY has kind of just been like pushed to the side. So next is NECROMUNDA. Super excited for the NECROMUNDA one. So we have already seen, obviously, the new Ashwakes boxes out, and they are releasing some of those models separately. So what is going to follow? Well, probably going to see more vehicles for other factions. I imagine, from what I've heard so far, the actual NECROMUNDA book from Ash Waste has all the vehicle rules in it, but only has actual vehicle like data cards and stats and everything for the orruks and the nomads. So what we're going to have to see, if we're going to see any new models, which I think we likely do, what we're going to have to see is another book. Now, we know that they did basically like whatever it is, 6 different books with, I think it's like 1 or 2 factions in each book with a bunch of extra like expansion rules for those factions, like the House of Iron or House of Chains, etc. So I think we're likely to see something like that, sort of reminiscent of the, I can't remember what they were called, but they basically did like books that had 1 or 2 or 3 different factions inside of it. So I think that's probably what we're going to see. We're going to see enough content to fill out an expansion book for like 2 or 3 of the NECROMUNDA like gang factions. So maybe we're going to see something, you know, for Escher, Goliath, and Van Saar, or something to that extent, or maybe just a couple of those. And then we'll see a few different vehicles, maybe some different types of buffs, equipment, etc. So that's kind of what I'm expecting. And then obviously like the box set of those vehicles to come along. Now we're still waiting on the land train. Obviously we've seen some pictures on that. We've seen the announcement. So maybe they'll talk a little bit more about that and potential availability. But at this point in time, I'm not expecting a new gang, but I am expecting new books with vehicle rules and then new vehicles for existing gangs, as I think that will be a big one. And I'd really like it if they not only release specific vehicles for specific factions, but also like some generic vehicles that could be taken by any faction, kind of like they did with like the Hive Scum box, where you could kind of just have some generic dudes to add to your gang. So that is it for Friday. Obviously, some more speculation there. Definitely excited to see what comes out for all of these. And then finally, we have Saturday the 7th. Now, this one is at 10 a.m. BST. So that is going to be the equivalence of a backpedal of 5 hours. So that is going to be 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Or if you're on the other end of the country, on the other coast, you're looking at basically, 2 a.m.? So that's going to be a little less viable to like do or cover live or anything like that. but that is our Warhammer Horus Heresy reveal. So obviously they're going to probably talk some about the rules, about the gameplay. They're going to release some cool information about the new box. They're probably going to, show off everything that's in it, which at this point in time we've already seen. And then I suspect that will be, I have a feeling the big Horus Heresy box is going to be, $350, $400, something like that. And that is going to be the equivalent of like the Indominus set. It will have the big rulebook in it and a bunch of models, and then that's it. And then I think what they're going to do is follow their game plan for 40k and Sigmar, where they have basically like 3 different tiers of starter set that follows. Something around like the $50 range, something around that $100 range, and then something around like the $170 to $200 range. And I suspect theoretically that will have, the larger box would have some kind of like terrain in it or something, and then each of the smaller boxes will have basically, a soft cover rule book with all the rules, but not the big bulky hard, nice collector's edition version, or like, it's not technically collector's edition, but like, the big hard book that you put on a shelf, not just the little mini rule book that you just use to play the game. And then on top of that, I think each box will have the rules, a couple dice, the measuring device. The box will be able to use as like some sort of like cover. It'll have a fold out cheap game board, and then obviously, varying models. Probably 1 HQ for each side, and then a couple of troops. Usually they build those boxes so they're not balanced, as in like maybe one side has 10 technical marines, or in this case legionaries, and then the other side has like 5 terminators. And then each has a character. So one side basically has 5 terminators and a character. The other side has, 10 regular bros and a character. And then I think they'll do some kind of like imbalance kind of set there, because we're seeing obviously with these kits that everything is going to be Space Marines. So they have to balance it by doing different units. They can't just balance it by different factions like we see in like orcs for Stormcast, etc., or Space Marines versus Necrons. And then I think the mid-tier box will probably be a nicer expansion of that. Probably going to see just larger amounts with an HQ. And then I think the final box will probably have something like, maybe we'll see the Dreadnought in the middle-sized box, and then we'll see the big tank in the final one. The Spartan comes in like the big box. I'm not sure. I think they're going to probably price that Spartan around a Land Raider, and a Land Raider is like $100 at this point in time, USD. So if they're going to make a $170 box, obviously there's going to be some savings over retail, but to put a $100 kit right in a $170 box, not going to leave a ton of room for everything else. But maybe we see something like, a Spartan and 10 Marines and an HQ versus, 5 Terminators, a Dreadnought, 10 Marines, and an HQ. I don't really know. I'm just kind of obviously like spitballing, guessing. I don't know exactly where the balance would work out or anything, but I think they're going to do something along those lines. So that is basically what I have planned, anticipated, or expecting for this. There's going to be some surprises. I'm going to be wrong about some things, I'm sure, but definitely looking forward to it. And then we'll just wrap up with the little giveaway that they're doing. Only one thing could be better than watching all of these stellar reveals, owning them. The dream may just become a reality, as one lucky person will win every single new thing announced at Warhammer Fest. You read that right. Everything, mysterious miniatures, surprising stories, and brand new boxes. You could win it all. So it's cool that they're giving a giveaway for one lucky person, but that's also pretty pathetic. Maybe do like one per like region, one per continent. One is a little underwhelming. So you have a 1 in probably 250,000 chance of winning. So win with Warhammer Fest 2022 online, 18 plus, one winner only, geographical restrictions apply. Existing subscribers will be entered automatically, and the winner will be contacted within 7 days of entries closing. Terms and conditions can apply. Entry is simple. You just need to sign up for the newsletter before midnight BST on Sunday, the 8th of May. If you're already signed up, there's no need to worry. You're already entered. Terms and conditions apply. As always, day 1 of the Warhammer Fest will begin on Wednesday at 5 p.m. BST for a whole day of Warhammer 40,000. We'll see you there. So obviously you can sign up to win, or just, you know, if you're already signed up, you're already entered. So so there's it. There's the announcements. There's some speculations from me, what I think might be coming, and the times and everything. So make sure you guys keep up to date with that. I will be doing update, reaction, review, reveal videos as well. Give you guys my honest opinion as always. And that's it for today. If you did enjoy the content today, if you like the reactions, reviews, news, painting, modeling, conversion tutorials, make sure to like and subscribe. I definitely appreciate it. We obviously do all kinds of content from Warhammer 40,000, Kill Team Necromunda, Age of Sigmar, WARCRY, and then obviously some Horus Heresy and a little bit of the underworlds as well. I'm into D&D, tabletop wargaming in general. So if you're into that, if you enjoy the content, make sure to like and subscribe, as it really helps out the channel. That's it for today at Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man, and I'm out of here.